Welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
Welcome back, guys. So it's another week, and this week's been a pretty cool, large week in, I think, media and stuff. So I'm excited to talk about a lot of that.
Yeah, I think lots of things happened. I think I did a lot, and I think a lot's going on. A lot's been going on.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into that, of course, make sure you drop a 1 in the chat if you are listening to the YouTube premiere.
Gang, rise up.
Would love to, see how many of you guys are there, and also drop a like on the video if you're watching and or listening. It helps us out a whole bunch as well. It helps YouTube spread the premiere to more people, so we get more viewers and listeners and all that. Also, we have a review, of course. So this comes from, I guess, Junior Rivera, I believe, is this person.
Rivera? Okay.
Yeah, they say, awesome Yu-Gi-Oh pod. They gave us 5 stars. Thanks. Always appreciate that. So they say, started listening to this last month and a half. I work a job where I'm driving a lot, and the pod is really fun and informative. I've been a Yu-Gi-Oh fan since the start. Always loved playing with my brothers. Been on and off playing most of my life. Had a run a few years back where I finally got competitive and did a few tournaments, but fell out of it again. But honestly, your pod has really got me back into Yu-Gi-Oh. Keep up the good work.
Well, Junior, we do try. I mean, we do talk negatively about the game all the time, but I like to think we're just negative about a lot of things.
Yeah, it turns out we're just negative Nancy's. I mean, no, I always like hearing that people kind of are having what I would almost describe as a healthy relationship with Yu-Gi-Oh! I think on and off can be healthy. That's actually sometimes a good thing. Sometimes, you shouldn't be too highly, invested in it, but then also maybe taking breaks and stuff like that. It's not so bad.
I might go as far as to say any hobby you have, it's only healthy if you take breaks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, certainly, for sure. So we appreciate the review, of course. And without further ado, I guess let's get into this week's Yu-Gi-Oh! News.
All right, before we get into all the relevant stuff, the first thing I want to say is I played Yu-Gi-Oh!
You played Yu-Gi-Oh!
I played Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
I discovered, so no one else knew this. This is me. I discovered this. Guys, I'm not being sarcastic. I discovered that Infinite Forbidden Fiend support cards work just as good for Plunder Patrol. Yep. That was all me.
So, what did you play? What were you? What's the story with that?
So I played a simple locals. I brought my Plunder Patrol cards. I didn't have an extra 1,000 on me, so I didn't have Fiendsmith.
Yeah.
But Infinite Forbidden gave us a bunch of new Fiend tools to use, and so I threw them into my Plunder deck. Yeah. And I had a great time when I could play. You get a mixed bag. Sometimes you just lose.
Yeah, any standout cards?
But most definitely. I was finally able to take Silent Angler out of my deck. That's the guy who says if you have a water monster on the field, you can special summon it.
Right.
But he locks you out of special summoning from hand, which sucks because you have Plunder Patrol monsters that specifically want to summon from hand. Now we have the Dipsy Fiend, which it's a water fiend like all your Plunder Patrols. It can summon to either side of the board, and it can even change its attribute. It's A1.
So you had fun.
I had a lot of fun. I did. I did. In contrary to the last time I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Where I didn't have fun, I did have fun this time. And I kind of want to talk about that just a little bit.
Sure.
Chasing the high of fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so dangerous.
Dangerous? How do you mean?
So everyone has different definitions of what's considered fun. For some people, fun is winning. For some people, fun is getting to play the game. And for some people, as long as they touch a card, they're having fun. But I do think we're all chasing our own versions of fun in this game. And that's what leads you into the pitfall of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because for better or for worse, the modern game is not designed for fun. It's designed to be competitive and sellable.
It is it's brutal, or it can be.
And so if you're one of those people who you're only having fun if you're winning, then Yu-Gi-Oh! Is especially brutal because you when you have those weekends where you win, like let's say you finish second at your locals or you won your locals, right?
Yeah.
You can ride that high well into your next locals. But then, like, let's say you get crushed. Like, if you had just been, if your definition of fun had just been a little bit more mild, that bad weekend wouldn't feel quite as bitter because the opposite of winning is losing, and that means that you did not have any fun.
Yeah, I
But
totally get that.
that now next week, you're mad, right? You're upset that you had a bad weekend, and now but now you're chasing that high that you had from the last weekend of winning. You're just chasing it. It's like you're a fiend almost. And the problem, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to win. The problem is when that's your only motivation, and it's a singular drive coming from a place of negativity.
Right, it can be dangerous. Sorry, did you have something else?
I was gonna say, for me, my definition of fun is getting to play Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, my opponent doesn't knock me out the game immediately, and as long as I get to like participate in the match, I have a good time. But even that's precarious in Yu-Gi-Oh because it's really hard to earn your way into an interactive game. You have to do everything right. You have to know all the relevant decks and cards. The lengths you have to go to have fun in Yu-Gi-Oh is way too high.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. So the question I guess I have for you is, having had what sounds like a good weekend of Yu-Gi-Oh play at locals, are you going back like, next weekend or this weekend or whatever?
I really think it's in my best interest to not do it. And this is my reasoning.
Okay.
I don't keep up with meta trends all that well in Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't even like to read cards half the time.
Yeah.
So when I have a weekend where I didn't have to play against anything too crazy and I understood the card interactions that were going on around me, I should honestly take that and run with it for a while.
Like savor the feeling.
Yeah, because if I go right back in next week, it's not likely I'm going to have the same experience. And look, I'm not faulting my opponents or anyone else. You can't control what other people play, and it's their right to play whatever they want to play. But if I have like the opposite situation next week, that will put
sour your
yeah.
Yeah.
What I think I might do is this week I might just like play like Duel Links or Master Duel to avoid
something to get it. Okay.
And then maybe the week after that I go back again.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I think for me, I mostly when it comes to physical, I pretty much relegated myself to going to like sneak peeks and stuff, like kind of those special OTS style days. And just playing a lot of Master Duel, but it depends on, I guess, like tolerance. Since you mentioned that, this isn't a news story, but it is something that's kind of Yu-Gi-Oh related, and it's just, that I've experienced this past week is two things. First of all, I played Yu-Gi-Oh's domain format for the first time.
How was that?
Yeah, I had fun. I got to meet up with the channel Yu-Gi-Oh Commander, and also one of the guys who like works on just like kind of the rule sets and like manages the Discord and everything. They reached out to me because I'm like currently in Denver, and so it was just a couple hours drive for them. We met up at this card shop. I think it's called like Level 7 Games or something like that. Cool shop, great place. We weren't able to make like a video out of the experience because it was just so short notice. But I had a lot of fun. There were 4 of us, and we were able to kind of like sit around, play the format. It truly does feel a lot like a Yu-Gi-Oh Commander format, but still with a lot of like the Yu-Gi-Oh flavor to it. So like, you do pick a deck master, and then your deck master kind of forms his domain based on like its type, attribute, and any like mentioned archetypes or other types in its text. And
so how did you build your domain deck?
So I was just given a deck. They brought a bunch of them. My domain, my deck master was Cyber Dragon Core. So it was cool. It meant that I could use like Light Machine, like Cyber Dragon monsters and stuff. And so it was really fun. I don't know.
Did y'all play with like 8,000 life points, or was it more?
8,000 life points. 8,000
Okay.
life points for people. The power level is definitely a little bit lower just because, like, you know, it's kind of a singleton format, one of every card, 60 card decks. So decks are like less consistent in a good way, I would say. Like there's still certainly some crazy combos you can do. We know modern Yu-Gi-Oh has that. But it was chill. It was like a lot of fun and kind of playing the politics of it that comes up in a lot of these like 4-player social games where like, you know, you target people, you aim for people, you kind of bargain. And also alternate win conditions or like weird, awkward win conditions feel a little bit more relevant in the format as well. So that's cool. There was like a guy who was
Victory
playing,
Dragon?
well, there was a guy who was playing Volcanic Counter. He was playing UFO Turtle was his deck master. And
Okay.
he was able to just like, you know, play like fire, pyro cards. And he used like Volcanic Counter. But Volcanic Counter can like inflict the same amount of damage to your opponent that like you would take in battle, but you can like direct it at a certain opponent. It's very like there's just a lot. And then there's another person who's like deck master was Blue Dragon Summoner, which
Wow.
is basically kind of a small monster that can like search for a vanilla, but because it mentions dragons, spellcasters, and like on warriors, he was actually playing like a dark magician, blue eyes, red eyes hybrid deck.
So it's like all within that domain.
Yeah, it was really fun. I had a great time. I might make a separate video on it to talk about it a little bit more, but that was cool. Took a picture with them. I got posted on Reddit, which was awesome and fun, and I was like, yay, cool. Then I found out that I was also on Reddit for something else this week. That was what you informed me of. You can tell the story if you want. I only saw
I mean,
that.
like as I don't think there's much of a story. You guys, Paul was giving his opinion about the state of Yu-Gi-Oh anime.
Yeah, I made a
and
video about it.
As many people and one specific person pointed out, Paul is not the most informed person on the state of Yu-Gi-Oh anime, and there are people who care a lot, who are well researched, that you know,
Yeah,
they
sometimes people will
rather
take a lot of issue with those sorts of videos.
they I guess in a weird way, I think they would rather be able to lead the conversation on Yu-Gi-Oh anime, but oftentimes they're the ones not making videos about Yu-Gi-Oh anime. And if they are, I haven't seen them because, well,
Yeah,
you know, relative size.
Yeah, I saw the post. Someone was like, "Yeah, like Paul made this video about, you know, the state of Yu-Gi-Oh anime." Because what I said in my video was basically like, I think that it would be nice if there was a currently airing anime to go alongside the TCG, because it feels like without an anime in the TCG right now, things kind of feel a little stale, a little stagnant. Like we're not really having like anime archetypes running along a show. So it, you know, that was kind of my stance on it. Like I usually try to do in those videos, didn't really try to make any like harsh, you know, sweeping judgments about the whole thing. I wasn't like, you know, this is killing Yu-Gi-Oh, or that like, here's what exactly what this anime should be or whatever. But yeah, usually when you get posted on some place like Reddit or even Twitter, I saw somebody post about it on Twitter, it's usually like somebody who, like you described, they follow said thing a lot. And so in my video, I'm kind of taking more of like a surface level cursory opinion on like the Yu-Gi-Oh anime thing. But then there are people who kind of live and breathe this, and so understandably they are you know, like they feel like, oh, this ignorant person's like saying their opinion and they're like misinformed, or
you know,
they're doing harm.
As a self-described gatekeeper, I can tell you when I see gatekeeping being done, and I didn't know it was a thing, but there are people that gatekeep Yu-Gi-Oh anime discussion. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I didn't know it got that way. And it's crazy because like that's sort of a crowd of people that are in many ways different than like the current TCG crowd or the current Master Duel crowd or Duel Links crowd or whatever. And so I'm going to take a while later on to go and read the thread, see what people have said. I'll probably at least respond to a few people, try to like clear up my side of the story. I've found myself in this weird position over the last couple of years, I guess, where through the APS Amplifier channel, I'll just like make these videos, and for me, they really are just sort of like musings, right? Like it's
Yap fest.
You know, I'm yapping, you know, I'm just sort of like talking about like, here's what I think about this, here's what I think about that, or like, here's like kind of this weird idea, what if this was real? And like, for me, they aren't serious, you know, discussions or like serious kind of like statements on like,
like musings.
This is it? Yeah, it's like, yeah, musings. But then I realized like for a lot of other people, not so. Like for a lot of other people, this is like everything. And so now you've got this person who's got a bit of a voice and like some reach, and they are not maybe saying the right thing in your eyes. So, yeah, though that was, just some fun stuff from this week. Yu-Gi-Oh! Wise, it just happened to, I guess, both of us.
Now that was the Yu-Gi-Oh things that happened to us. Now, what about the Yu-Gi-Oh things that happened to everybody?
So, I guess we should talk about the European World Championship qualifier that happened this past weekend.
And boy, was it a qualifier.
It was very interesting. I was watching a little bit of the live stream.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I wanted to say the live stream was incredible. You might have watched more of it than me. What did you think of just the production of it?
Production, like the quality of production is just through the roof compared to what we're used to.
Yeah.
The European side of things, they clearly were taking notes from other other world
Games.
events for other games.
Yeah.
And they were incorporating that into how they presented Yu-Gi-Oh! I loved the post-game interviews / like highlight segments.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, what they did basically was after the duel, they would kind of pick out a handful of highlight moments from the different games, and then actually bring the winner up and like hand them a microphone and be like, "Hey, when this happened here, could you kind of like explain your thought process?" Yeah, to walk us through that. And that's like really cool for learning, first of all. So like if you're like a viewer and you're watching and like, it's one of the things that happens a lot, like even like on our videos, is people like kind of have this timestamp and like, why did this person do this here, right? Mm-hmm. Like why'd you do this, or I thought you couldn't do that, or like that doesn't make sense. And so here, finally, the player actually gets to sort of say like, this is what I was thinking, and that's useful for learning because like you'd be surprised sometimes these players, their heads work in different ways than maybe us laymen. And so what you thought was like a suboptimal play or, ill-advised, they actually had a good reason for doing it. It might have even led to their ultimate like victory in the match. So
like it reminds me, I watch a lot of boxing, and a big part of the post-fight in boxing is, they pull like the winner and sometimes even the loser aside, and they pull up key moments of the fight on camera. Now, oftentimes it's the knockout, which that's not always great for the loser to have to live through again. But, they'll get their thoughts, like, what were you thinking? What was the strategy? What was the setup? How did you know when did you know you were going to win the fight? Like, those are really interesting insights to get after just seeing the performance.
Right.
And not everybody can do it, right? Not every player is as eloquent. Not every player... Not every player even has that deep of a thought process when they make their plays. But I think they were careful about who they picked for those moments.
Yeah, the feature matches and such. They were established players. One of the matches I saw that was like really crazy was it was Joshua Schmidt against that other Runic player. Mm-hmm. And so it was like kind of like sort of pure Runic versus like Runic Whitewoods. And oh, man, it was just such a crazy match because like Runic, it's one of those decks where oftentimes I think people's opinions on a deck like Runic are always from the perspective of being a non-Runic player, right?
Yep.
So, you're just facing a Runic deck or a deck with a Runic engine in it, and so it's kind of easy to just be like, oh, they just flip up floodgates, and they just mill you out, and like it's so stupid and unfair. But suddenly when there's a Runic mirror match of some kind, it's so much different because these decks actually can't finish each other off. And it's kind of funny because like, every Runic card makes you skip like the next battle phase. And so when you do that, it's like, okay, you can get an edge on your opponent in terms of like resources or kind of board state, but you will not be able to do damage. And as we saw both in this feature match and many feature matches throughout the weekend, actually, time has become more and more relevant. Games ending in draws or games just ending on kind of maybe some unceremonious life point gain type of thing. And so Runics in a mirror match like that can't actually attack each other. And so like it really comes down to like, can you get in a little damage and then like manage from there? Can you just mill the other Runic player out? There was a lot of nuance to it, and I thought that was just a really entertaining match.
It was such an entertaining stream to watch. And I think the final itself was actually a good watch. I mean, like Snake Eyes was not there,
Yeah, it was Tenpai Dragon versus Ritual Beast, I believe, right?
Yes, and so I was watching mainly because Alex, he loves his Ritual Beast, and so I was gonna sit there with my eyes glued to the screen to like learn like good Ritual Beast combos. Then my eyes glazed over because I remembered that a good Ritual Beast combo goes and goes and goes.
Yeah. It's funny, I remember when Ritual Beasts were first like kind of had come out like 2015-ish.
Yep.
15, yeah, like 2014, 15, something like that. Their combos were seen as like exceedingly long back in the day. Like, oh, Ritual Beast turns, am I right? But it's funny because like now they're not far off from I guess what you would kind of call the mean.
I mean,
Right?
now all combo decks just go for a while, and if anything, we've caught up to the Ritual Beast speed of comboing.
Yeah. So it was a Tenpai versus a Ritual Beast match. I did not actually get to see the finals, but I did hear that Tenpai Dragon won.
Tenpai won, but it was not an easy victory.
Oh, okay. So they had to like really work for it.
They did. They did. They won through a combination of it was Mo Charmy, Spooky Dog, and Spooky Dogwood. That's the one thing, the one that increases life points?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because by the end, because they had, what was it, like 16,000 life, or was it 24,000 life points? They had a stupid amount of life points. They had drawn a lot of cards, and when it came time to win the game, the Tenpai player, I forget, his name is escaping me, but we'll talk about him in a second. He just played every single board breaker it seemed his deck had.
Yeah. Esteban Ray. That was his name.
Yeah. There was Lightning Storm, Raigeki, everything was coming down to break through that board to seal the game.
Yeah, well, congratulations to both of them. It seems like it was a really hard-fought match. It does seem like you were just mentioning, life points are playing more of a role. It's cool to see that Molt Charmy was making an impact as well. I saw a good bit of that.
I did have my doubts about the card, but the pros did not have their doubts about the card, clearly.
So, despite the fact that Snake Eye did not win the event, it did still take up 32 spots out of the top 64.
Who would have thought?
But only one made it to top 4. So, despite having the sweeping amount of representation, it at least was not able to convert all the way up to the very end. But I still don't think that changes the overarching narrative of man, Snake Eye really...
It's strong, man.
It's strong. It's been here for a while. Maybe it needs to... this late August ban list maybe couldn't come soon enough. If you're, a tournament goer, there were also, let's see, 9 Tenpai Dragons in top 64, 4 Ritual Beasts, and 7 Yubel. So the same top 3, but a little bit of a different look at diversity in terms of the whole top 64.
I think the surprising one for me is Ritual Beasts. I'd heard that Ritual Beasts are making waves in the days leading up to these national series, but I didn't expect to see it in the final.
Right,
it didn't seem likely. I would have put Yubel before them. I think anybody would have put Yubel before Ritual Beast making it there. Tenpai, that's fair enough. I think Tenpai is one. It's the deck if you don't want to play. Well,
I guess long combo, first of all.
Yeah, if you don't want to play combo, you play Snake Eye. Unless you're the wily Ancient Gear player.
Yeah. I don't... Was there an Ancient Gear kind of equivalent this weekend? Was there something that... I didn't hear anything about it? An anime deck or super rogue thing that took people by surprise in a feature match?
In none of the feature matches I saw were especially... decks, the deck choices weren't that surprising. For me, it was mainly the final being a surprise of not having to see Snake Eyes in the final. Though I kind of wanted to see Yubel in the final, despite the fact that Yubel decks don't play a lot of Yubel anymore. Right. It's just an engine.
There's still a good bit of different Yubel stuff. What's actually cool to me is that a lot of builds do run Terra Incarnate, so that's...
it's just
cool.
a combo piece. It's just another body with the name Yubel.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where it kind of sucks when the Yubel support got announced. It felt exciting because it's whoa, Yubel is kind of getting support like an archetype, and as it happens, it's just sort of used for nothing but evil amid
But I
many
mean, you
other
know,
engines. But that's Yu-Gi-Oh.
that's modern day Yu-Gi-Oh. At least on the competitive side of things, it's not good unless it's a good engine, right?
Yeah, and like nobody is forcing you at home to like not play your favorite Yubel cards. Like if you want to play all the spells and traps and all the different you know what I mean? Like you still can. Nothing's stopping you. So
I mean, I don't even think the U-Bell's like core cards are bad. You know, they probably don't take you very far on day 2 of a Nats, but you know, I think they're good enough cards.
yeah, so that was the European WCQ. You know, congrats to all the players. It seemed like it was really pretty fun and intense. And I guess we'll be seeing the top, I believe,
I think
2 or
it's
4 players.
I thought it was
get to go.
4. Go
I
to
think it's
Worlds.
4. Yeah, congrats again to Esteban Ray. The runner-up was Julio Valls. Julio Marie Julio. Yeah, so a lot of player diversity, a lot of country diversity when you look at the flags beside these players' names I'm looking at. So
I mean, Europe is a combination of countries.
yeah, it's nice to see that like there are just like, anytime there's just like a lot of flags, that's awesome. Like I would hate it if it was like all the French flag, for instance, right? Like that would be like maybe just less exciting than seeing like a lot of.
This just in, Paul from Team APS hates the French.
Yep, that's right. No, don't you go taking that out of context. Okay.
Clip it.
So the Yu-Gi-Oh story is that Master Duel got a new ban list. You know, this is kind of normal. Master Duel basically gets a ban list every month. This one is not a very big one at all. It's technically like 2 separate ban lists that are sort of combined. The first was that we found out that Heavy Storm is coming back to 1 in Master Duel, and that like Snatch Steal is coming back in Master Duel.
It's always a good time when we have Snatch Steal in the format.
Yeah, so I mean, these cards aren't really making the same impact that they once were, in the sense that like, you know, Mind Control, Brain Control, Change of Heart has been back for a while, and there's like Triple Tactics Talent, which still just manages to kind of creep all of those others out because it's just a more versatile card. So cards that just take control aren't really a big deal anymore. It is so it doesn't feel. But adding in Heavy Storm alongside like the already legal Harpy's Feather Duster means one more sort of hardship if you play like a back row heavy deck. One more thing to be concerned about.
They're probably just trying to cut those Labyrinth numbers down ever so slightly.
Yeah, and it's also a pretty useful card if you play Unchained, maybe even some Pendulum variants and stuff. Also, they banned Ido the Supreme Magical Force and Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. So these are basically just 2 of the same card. They're those types of cards that you summon to your opponent's field, typically with Albion the Sanctifier Dragon and Branded. And so Branded was able to kind of like lock you out of playing, because once you summon either of them to your opponent's field, they can't summon for the turn.
Right.
And I'm glad to see the back of these, although I will say, in my time playing Master Duel, I actually don't feel that those locks pop up very much. Like, and just kind of on the ranked ladder.
Maybe they don't come up at the higher levels, but maybe they come up more in the lower levels.
Yeah, it might be just that they're not actually as reliable or consistent as they sound on paper. Like, turn skips seem busted, but sometimes people can see it coming, and then they can like hit you with, you know, the right effect failure type of thing. And they did
anytime
recently,
you play against Branded, the first thing you think is, are they going to try and lock me? They're probably going to try and lock me.
yeah, and they recently had banned Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity in a ban list a couple months back. So like, they're clearly trying to cut down on these like degenerate little turn skip things entirely.
The assault on turn skips.
And then a bunch of cards just went to 3. Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, which means next to nothing. Infernity Launcher, Divine Arsenal AA Zeus was at 2 before, and now it's at 3. Sekka's Light, and Super Heavy Samurai Wagon. So, not really anything to write home about with those.
They took a toe off the neck of Super Heavy Samurai players.
Right, yeah. It's funny, Super Heavy Samurai was a huge problem for a while. Then they kind of started to hit it on the ban list, and then it just fell off completely. Like, I just don't see that deck played at all.
All it really took was hitting the Lake Monster. Lake Monster is what enabled the degeneracy. But I don't think Super Heavy deserve hits outside of the Lake Monster. I just don't.
I mean, they were going after other... Because the... Actually, I don't think the Master Duel... I'm trying to remember. I think the TCG banned the Link monster, and
Did they not
Master
ban the
Duel
Link in Master
and
Duel?
Master Duel didn't. Master Duel just hit
Oh,
like
so they hit
Scarecrow
a
and other
bunch of
things.
things.
Yeah, so now
Oh,
they're kind of like taking a little bit of the pressure off and like bringing this card back to 3. So I will see if it makes a big difference. Right now, like Master Duel has just gotten Centurion and Yubel in, and everybody's kind of messing around with that stuff. That's kind of the shiny new toys. So maybe here in the next couple of weeks, we'll get to see if, when things, settle down, if Super Heavy begins to be an issue again. But I don't think it will. Who knows?
oh, and I just remember peak Super Heavy for like 2 weeks it existed in TCG. It was an entire problem.
Yeah, people did not like that. They did not. So that's just the Master Duel ban list. Nothing like super wild, super crazy. Do you have any other Yu-Gi-Oh news that you've seen?
Did you see the Wonder Festival figures?
I did not. What
Oh
are those?
man, I'll put the link in the Discord call so you can see them.
Oh, so there are more figures. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have an Akiza figure that's going to be
that's
a
gonna be
hot
popular.
ticket item. We have Jack Atlas.
Ooh,
See, behind him, you can see a Stardust and a Red Dragon.
Oh man.
But
These
we
are
also
awesome.
have Ash Blossom.
Oh,
We
people are gonna
have
kill for that.
Shien, the legendary Sixth Samurai. There's an unpainted Yugi,
Yeah.
and then that's Yugi twice. Then Astral and what's his name? Yuma. I always forget Yuma's name.
Right.
And then one of Paul's favorites, a Cyber Dragon. Which one I couldn't tell you. I think that might just be normal.
I think it's just
Dragon.
regular Cyber Dragon from what I'm seeing here.
I see IP Masquerena with her little bomb guy.
Yeah.
And this one's going to be popular, a Sky Striker Kagari.
Oh,
Or however
man.
you say her name properly, Sky Striker Ace Kagari, or is it Kagari the Sky Striker? I forget how you say the name.
So there's a lot of cool Yu-Gi-Oh figures, basically, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, a
So-
whole bunch of them. Konami has been licensing this thing out. We are getting Yu-Gi-Oh figures all the time now.
So this all came from Wonder Festival Summer 2024. Amakuni are producing figures of Jack Atlas, Akiza Izinski, and Red Dragon Archfiend. Okay, cool. So these are all kind of from separate places, but
Yeah, like Union Creative does the
that did the
Shien.
Six Samurai. Okay. Shien
Revoltech
one.
did Yugi.
Ash Blossom was also done by Amakuni. So the Ash Blossom one looks
And
really like
Kotobukiya
detailed.
has the Kagari.
Okay, so yeah, basically there's the selection of Yu-Gi-Oh figures seems to be just kind of like never ending. I'm so glad to see that they're finally pushing out more into the TCG territory with like the Ash Blossom, Shien, Zeus, that was one that we've seen, stuff like that. But then also like pushing into 5Ds and like Zexal finally, like because it's
And
for
even
so
into just
long.
TCG relevant cards.
Yeah. Like just that mix. Like I want more than just DM. I think that helps the brand. It helps remind people that the brand is more than like Yugi and Kaiba, right?
See, I'd feel better about my cards being hit on the ban list if I had merch of them, something that's mine that can't get banned.
Yeah, feels like they can't take that from you. Speaking of actually, like Yu-Gi-Oh figures, I saw this article on WIGO organization that was new Yu-Gi-Oh licensing agreements and product changes. So this was just kind of more on that sort of road. A recent announcement has confirmed that Konami Cross Media have signed new licensing agreements with King Ice and Young LA. Their
I'm looking
agreement
it
with
up.
King Ice, yeah, I've never heard of these, is for a line of Yu-Gi-Oh chains, pendants, bracelets, and rings.
Oh yeah, it's King Ice.
Yeah, and then while their agreement with Young LA is for several lifestyle collections, which include t-shirts, joggers, shorts, hoodies, and flannels. So,
'Cause if you've ever been on Facebook, you have seen King Ice ads. They just get IPs and make chains.
yeah, I think that might be where I got like Trell's one chain from, but that might have been like some
I think that was a different. I don't know,
I think that was like
King
some
Ice has
sketchier
done
place.
Yu-Gi-Oh yet.
Yeah, that might have been some sketchier place. So, yeah, I just thought that was kind of cool. First Four Figures have announced that they're discontinuing their PVC statues. That's those statues that I
Oh,
had, like the Dark Magician one. I had a Blue Eyes one, a Red Eyes one, and a Dark Magician Girl one.
see, discontinued is strong wording.
But they still plan to release resin statues. This is largely due to the cost and current low demand. Notably, when First Four Figures initially acquired their Yu-Gi-Oh license, they had only planned on resin statues at the time. So people are not buying those PVC statues, and I will just be the first to say I think it's pretty obvious why. They're
Why?
expensive.
Oh yeah.
Those because like most of this Yu-Gi-Oh statues and figures that we've been talking about so far are the ones that tend to be closer to like 80, 90 bucks, right? Depending on like obviously the company and where you get it and stuff, which isn't really very bad for a figure. It's kind of standard fare. But with those like big PVC statues, those take a lot. Those are very detailed and very like textured, and they're heavy. And so I know that those cost a lot, and they charge like, even the cheapest ones tend to be like 250 bucks or so. And like then the like deluxe versions are like 400, 450, and it's just like, man, how many people like listening right now, like you can let us know, are you that much of a Yu-Gi-Oh freak? Like, are you willing to pay, $300-400 for, a Red Eyes figure? Like someone is, yes, but like how many,
Yeah, I mean, it's demand is a whole thing about being our market has to be like willing and able to buy, right? There's probably plenty of people willing, but they're probably not able. And sorry, plenty of people able, but they're probably not as willing. Hitting
Yeah, so
that perfect point would be easier if it was a cheaper product.
yeah. And I mean, like, it probably doesn't help too that people barely even distinguish between which brands make which figures. So like I think for a lot of people they want a Yu-Gi-Oh figure and they just kind of grab whatever's they see first and is like somewhat affordable, right? Like
You have to be kind of really in to be tracking, your figure companies and what line it's a part of. Because, so for some people, they want to be all at the same scale and the same level of detail. For some people, they specifically want them to be from different companies so that they do have different scales and different like detailing on them.
but yeah, so basically Konami Cross Media, they're just they're doing a lot of different licenses. I also see that there's going to be Yu-Gi-Oh drink coasters that look like they're about $30 each. These look like pretty nice coasters. They've got like a Dark Magician, a Blue Eyes, and a Dark Magician Girl that I see in this picture. They also noted they might be making an Exodia Necro statue.
They might be.
Yeah, they said they also noted they would likely be able to make an Exodia Necro statue after their Exodia the Forbidden One statue, as the only necessary change would be the color scheme. This
True.
is from this is also like from First Four Figures, so yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff. I will probably at least partake in some of it. I've always been a big fan of having my Yu-Gi-Oh merch because, like you said, I feel like that's something that I can take, kind of beyond the grave that is like the TCG, or so to speak, in this analogy. Like, even if they ban my favorite cards, or even if I'm not currently like playing a deck that I like or something, I will always have like cool Yu-Gi-Oh posters or figures or coasters or something like that. So,
And speaking of being beyond the TCG,
oh,
so I ordered my copy of the Elemental Hero Rush Duel structure deck.
oh, really? Okay.
Yes, I'm quick with getting like Rush Duel pre-orders in because those things sell out like hotcakes. At least for people that are willing to sell them overseas and not for all that much either.
Right.
But probably more importantly, I didn't think it got more important in Rush Duels than Elemental Heroes and Hero Support. A certain monster is gracing the cover of the next Rush Duel set. It is a
certain
prolific monster, a monster that has a certain gravity, like a monster from ancient times,
Okay.
a golem, you might say.
Are they bringing Ancient Gear Golem?
Ancient Gear Golem is
Rush
on
Duel?
the cover of the next pack. It's the True Legend Awakening pack. They're bringing my boy over, and so you know what that means. I gotta pick one up.
Okay, I'm trying to look up a picture real quick of it. Oh, okay, yeah, I see. Wow, that's awesome. That's a
Right.
really cool looking pack too. It looks very like Ancient Gear Golem just covered in red lightning and like it's, sheesh, looks
Like,
menacing.
even if it's just Ancient Gear Golem being introduced as a legend card, which those are just essentially ported in Yu-Gi-Oh cards, same stats, same everything. But we might get more Ancient Gears in Rush Duels, and that might be another product that I end up having to pick up.
Yeah. So that's neat. There was one last Yu-Gi-Oh thing that I'd seen. This is actually just back to sort of some TCG news. So they finally started revealing information about the tins. And last week we didn't get to cover it too much, but they did reveal several of the like reprints that are going to be in the next like set of tins.
Oh
The
yeah,
Dueling Mirrors tin, lots of really great reprints. Just a lot of stuff that people want. People were very happy about these tins in general.
I
But
mean the fact that they included Age of Overlord was such a surprise.
yeah. And so I actually was going to, let me first go to Yu-Gi-Oh! News TCG. I forgot to bring this up. I was going to just go over a few of the exciting like highlights that I'd seen that were confirmed for the tins. Mostly it's stuff that people kind of expected, but I wanted to see if I could snag a quick list.
I remember just seeing a picture of it somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a picture. I can't find it. Well, either way, the news that I was going to say for today is that the TCG account actually, every Tuesday and Thursday leading up to the release of the tins, they're going to reveal a new high-demand prismatic secret rare coming in this year's tins. So the tins
Okay.
come out on September 20th, and today, it's Tuesday when we're recording this, they revealed that Guiding Quim, the Virtuous, is going to be one of the prismatic secret rares. And so they will also be doing the same thing on Thursday. So when you guys are watching this, they'll probably have revealed at least one new one. And yeah, it's kind of I think a neat way of hyping up the product, right? Like it's
As
kind
they
of new for
drip
them.
feed us, as
Yeah,
as they run straight into the leaks coming out.
Well, because I think they might be realizing too that their rollout of the Infinite Forbidden didn't exactly go how I imagine it was planned to.
There was a snafu with, you know,
A lot of stuff got leaked like early, and it kind of just made it like the content creator videos that they were releasing. It sort of undermined those, and I think that they just waited a little too long to release those, like the content creator vids. So I think that what they might be doing this time around is probably like this drip feed lets them get the information out sooner
it
and
reminds
keep
me a
people
lot of
hyped.
how the OCG announces new cards for sets. Just piece by piece over time, and like, they don't really have to worry about leakers over there. I wonder if they do. I wonder if they do have leakers.
Probably
I'm
not
sure.
too many. I mean, it seems like every time I see like Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG news, it's kind of just from the official like sources. But either way, what I was gonna say too is just that like this will keep people hyped for the product. It's not a product where there's really gonna be like leaks in terms of new cards. Like these are all just reprints. A lot of people were excited about those tins, but one thing that sort of worries me just a little bit about the tins is you might remember when we first discussed them, they are still 400 cards, like the set's like 400 something cards. So, okay, yeah, I finally found this image. Yeah, Trident Dragon's in there, the alternate art of like Raigeki and stuff. There's Wanted Seeker, Sinful Spoils, there's Dark Corridor, Guiding Quim as we saw, Crimson Dragon, IP Little Knight, SP Little Knight, Kashtira Theosis, Chaos Angel, just a lot of really cool cards. So,
What's the MSRP on tins this year? Do we know?
I think it's $21.99, 21 or $22.99.
Still like 21.
So they're still like the same price. It's just that like, man, as cool as the reprints are, there is going to be a lot of stuff to sift through.
I'm gonna buy 5 tins, and that'll be it. I'm gonna call it right there. If I don't see my SP, I'll just cry.
I'll probably buy a few and hopefully just be able to maybe grab the singles. But that large set pool thing can really make you worry, like about stuff like that.
I mean, that's always been the issue with the tins. On the bright side, that's where like I'm glad for the secondary market, because vendors are going to be ripping those bad boys open and dropping the prices of singles very substantially.
They're also doing this little series of videos where like they will talk about a specific card that's going to be on the outside of the tin. So they started out with this video of Kaiba coming after Grandpa's Blue Eyes, and it revealed that like, you know, the Blue Eyes White Dragon is going to be one of the cards on the front of the tin. Surprise! I'm sure you couldn't have guessed. And
I wouldn't have.
So they'll probably have another one maybe next week, or maybe by the time people are watching this, I don't know. But cool.
But I think that's all we've got for Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Yeah, I think that's the Yu-Gi-Oh news. We might have missed something that comes out after we record this, but otherwise, let us know what you guys thought about all the Yu-Gi-Oh developments here in the past week. And before we get into the TCG stuff, a quick reminder, if you are watching the premiere, to please thumbs up the premiere. It helps us out a bunch. Seriously.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. When you do it, it makes YouTube surface the premiere more, so that's really why we're asking about it. TCG stories.
TCG stuff.
Yes.
So while this isn't a story, I want to hop on my Digimon TCG soapbox.
Oh, soapbox. It's not a story, it's a soapbox.
Just the soapbox. Guys, August 9th is the release of the next major Digimon set that is BT17 Secret Crisis.
Okay.
And there are a few things to note real quick. This set is all about movies. These are Digimon that were featured in different Digimon movies. These are a lot of fan favorite Digimon. They're big, they're imposing, and they're all hand traps.
Oh yeah, I forgot Digimon has that. Aren't the hand traps called like Ace Monsters?
Yes, Ace Digimon. We're getting an Omnimon Ace who blasts DNA Digivolves over a War Greymon and a Metal Garurumon. And guys, you do not have to have both of those things on field. You only need one. The other one can be in hand. We're getting an Imperial Dramon Paladin mode Ace. So for all you adventure fans, the Imperial Dramon that you know is now an Ace Digimon in its strongest form. We're getting Gallantmon Crimson mode. So if you're a fan of Tamers, you're already familiar with Gallantmon Crimson mode. Well, now we have an Ace version of him. He blasts Digivolves. It's wonderful. And last but not least is Shine Greymon Burst mode Ace. That was the main Digimon in Data Squad, which a lot of people didn't watch Data Squad because we're kind of older at the time. But for Data Squad fans, Shine Greymon is a menace of a deck, and it's getting a whole lot stronger in this set. Also, their antagonists are all getting updates in this set as well. But the most important one is Diaboromon. For all you Diaboromon fans out there, the token spamming deck is back, and it's so strong, it might be too strong. Diaboromon got support in the last set, and now they're getting support again to make it a full-fledged solid deck. And if that weren't bad enough, we're getting our first alternate win condition in Digimon.
First alternate win condition? What does that mean?
So typically, you know how we win in Digimon. Either you remove all their security and then swing one more time for game, or they deck out, right? Or maybe you win in time. Well, we have an option card that only the Diaboromon gets to use called Doomsday Clock.
Okay. Oh, that sounds very much like Diaboromon.
So
does it count down like 10 turns, like 10 minutes?
So
that would be funny if it did. I saw that movie. That's all I remember.
That would be insane. So the cards it's a generally useful card outside of its like alternative win condition. It gives you a free Diaboromon token. It gives you free cards, right?
Yeah.
But it says start of your turn. If your battle area has 4 placed Doomsday Clocks, you win the game.
Okay.
So the card limit in Digimon is 4. So you can run 4 Doomsday Clocks in your deck, and if you get all 4 of those cards out into play, you just win.
Just win.
It's just a game over. It's done. It's our first alternate win condition, and it's in a deck that's already going to be strong. I know a lot of people played Diaboromon like a year ago, really,
Yeah.
And the deck kind of got power corruptly, moved on. We didn't think about it. But if you were a Diaboromon player, come on back. We'll welcome you back for now.
Cool little PSA of Digimon information.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, you were saying earlier how like it's kind of hard to find other Digimon information or something.
I always find it to be a struggle of keeping up with Bandai card games. I just don't think Bandai does the greatest job of spreading information about their games. I mean, yeah, you can go to their social media, like the social media spots, and you can even go to their websites. But
So I mean, so it's there, but it just feels like it doesn't organically reach you. Maybe is what you're saying.
it's not organic, but also their websites don't always update like quickly. So
Okay.
because like oftentimes I'll hear about something on Reddit or Twitter well before it's actually put on their websites. I don't even know how that works, but that's just how it goes.
That actually sounds not too different than how Yu-Gi-Oh is sometimes. I mean, there's leaks, so.
But at least in Yu-Gi-Oh, the install base is so high, and my algorithms they can see that the Yu-Gi-Oh fan base, and they can feed me all the Yu-Gi-Oh news they can. But when it comes to games like Digimon, Dragon Ball, even One Piece, as big as One Piece is, a lot of these social media algorithms, they don't read those TCG communities as separate entities.
Yeah, that's true. I think that the smaller the TCG, the probably more mixed into the algorithm, or the harder it is for the algorithm to probably hone in on it.
Because like, if you're a One Piece TCG player, What?
Oh, sorry about Digimon. Is that the Digimon like simulator still open?
Yeah, DCGO is still
DCGO?
around. It recently was updated to the EX6. That was our last set before this set release. So right now it's up to date and it's going strong.
Okay, because I remember a few months ago we were like wondering like, I hope it doesn't like get anybody in any trouble. But okay, good to hear that. I guess Bandai isn't coming down on it, despite hinting that maybe they were, but maybe not.
I think that was more of just kind of general like conspiracy theories online and unease towards like third party like simulators and whatnot.
Right. Okay.
But we'll know when it's gone because it'll be removed immediately, and that'll be that.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have any other TCG stories?
No, I did my best, but I really couldn't find anything of substance.
Great. Well, I've got a scary one then,
Scary?
or like a kind of a concerning one. So,
Okay.
would you ever want the ability to basically like X-ray your trading cards, or perhaps more specifically,
if I had X-ray vision, I think I could think of better ways to use it than that.
True, but would you like the ability to like X-ray inside of a Yu-Gi-Oh pack or a Pokemon pack before like opening it? What do you think about that?
I mean, but like once again, if I had the power of X-ray vision, I mean, sure, but it's such a small thing.
Well, there is this new collector card CT scanning service from.
Oh no!
Yeah, somebody Mecha Dragon. By the way, if you're like listening or watching this, shout outs to you. They tagged me in this on Twitter. I tagged you. It's this. If you, I'll just read it. If you haven't heard, we're able to identify holographic cards inside unopened Pokemon packs. Visit here to see the case study. If some people have access to this technology, you should too. It's what's fair and the next logical step. So basically, how it works is, you, I think, send in packs to them. Like it's the service. They developed this way of like X-raying cards, like seeing inside of like a Pokemon pack or something like that. Yeah, okay, here's an article on PokeBeach. I think this does a good job of showing it. Yeah, so like X-rays can kind of identify foil cards inside of sealed TCG products. It's caused a bit of a panic in the collecting sphere. This method was not known to collectors or even industry experts, though people have like joked about it for decades. On June 26th, a Michigan company named Industrial Inspection posted a case study showing how their CT machine can identify foil cards inside of Pokemon products. It uses CT scans to ensure automotive, aerospace, and medical equipment meet a manufacturer's standards. So the quote is, "We had no intention of using our technology to disrupt the Pokemon space, but we just wanted to scan some Pokemon cards to demonstrate the accuracy of our equipment." So they, long story short, can look inside of a Pokemon pack and like see if there's like a foil card in it. And that's kind of terrifying because if this technology, you know, got into the wrong hands, not to sound like science fiction humor,
Sounds
but
like a villain.
I mean, you know, like, right? Like clearly there's some kind of concern there because now it's like, okay, there used to be like things like the freezer trick with packs. You might have remembered that.
Yes.
Or like people who would bring like kitchen scales to stores and they have like scale packs. And some companies have taken steps to combat that. Like, you know, in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's like a foil in every pack, so it's a lot harder to differentiate weights. And sometimes they'll do the thing in the stores where there's like the little white kind of card that changes the weight of the pack and all that. But like with this, I mean, you are literally getting what seems to be a highly accurate guarantee of like, yeah, that you can like peek inside of this pack without opening it and like see just the composition of like how the foiling and the ink and stuff works. So you can literally identify the cards. It's not even just a matter of like, oh, it's a foil. It's like literally this is what the card's going to be based on these pictures that they have. So scary. What do you think of this?
So the first thing I want to say is I don't think it's worth worrying about too much because, you know, a CT scanner is a hefty piece of equipment. That's not a...
Yeah, not like your average Joe's not going to have it.
Yeah, like a regular TCG player won't even have access to a CT scanner, much less owning one. And then, you know, they're typically in like hospitals and other very professional environments. Like, to try to use one for those purposes will probably be risking your job or your career.
Yeah, there's definitely some... I mean, yeah, I think the fact that it's not accessible gives me some ease. Like, it would be really terrible if, like, everybody and their mom just had, like, these scanners and they're like, you could fit one in your pocket and run to the store and just scan every pack and, you know. Like, that's kind of the...
It's like, these things are big and they cost, like, $100,000, like $500,000. Like,
yeah, so right now, this Industrial Inspection and Consulting LLC will do CT scans for you. Like, you get a quote from them. Like, you go to their website, you get a quote based on, like, how many packs you want scanned. And what they're offering is like they'll scan 1 to 5 packs for $75 per pack, and then 6 to 10 packs for $70 a pack, and like so on and so forth. If you have 11 or more packs, then like it's $65 per pack, and that's like way too much money to like for anybody to actually. But
it's not if you're one of those Pokemon investors.
But like but if you do the math, I still feel like the risk on that is so high, right?
I mean,
like,
but if you have like a base set like Pokemon box, where its sealed value is already astronomical, a sealed pack's value is astronomical, and if you could just know which ones are hits and which ones aren't, I think that's. I'm not saying it's a good investment because I morally I am opposed to it. But it would be smart.
I mean, at $65 a pack, that means that to even just get like, so it's like 11 plus packs is $65 per pack. So that's like roughly, you know, $700 to do like 11 packs scanned. And like you have to also, there's like the hassle involved of getting a quote. They send you like instructions for shipping and like a payment, and then you like send it in and they send you back the CT scan files. And, you know, I feel like that's probably just too much trouble. More trouble than it's worth for the average person, which I guess, again, that's reassuring that it is too much trouble for the average person.
My worry is that with like, and especially in the Pokemon community, they have the investing types that are on the upper end of all things that kind of control the market and the interest around Pokemon.
Yeah.
If they can just set up their packs where they know which ones have hits and which ones don't, and they can more smartly control the market. I think that's an all-around loss for the Pokemon collecting community.
Yeah, the integrity of everything is just blown out of whack. I mean, it would not surprise me if there was someone who, like some group, company, vendor, who, like, if they're really invested in this whole collectible card games thing, like we're talking not just Pokemon, but probably sports cards, like some of those really old Michael Jordan cards that are worth like $1 bajillion. Maybe it's worth like getting a CT scanner in your office. Like I'm sure there's like one person on the planet who maybe is rich enough and cares enough to do it.
Because I mean, I'm looking at this this box on Rare Candy for a 1999 Shadowless base set Pokemon box. It's been authenticated and everything. They're selling it for $67,000.
Yeah.
If that box is worth $67,000, sure, I think $65 a pack.
To have it scanned and
yeah,
somebody would probably do it. So this is something interesting. Like I'm really curious to hear people's like in chat, like what do you think about this? The ability to like X-ray packs. Like I think all of us kind of dream of the ability to like, oh, I can like see inside the pack and just know what the next like foil is going to be, and then I wouldn't have to pay for engravers because I could go to Walmart and just grab the packs with the Fiend Smith engravers in them. But I think
for a Yu-Gi-Oh player, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any Yu-Gi-Oh player is really going to be doing this. This is like high-end collectibles talk at the end of the day. So, just a neat story. Kind of wanted to send it your way. I saw it and I was like, huh, that is a little worrying. But not like all that worrying.
Yeah, just because this technology is far out it won't be in the hands of like the modern common scammer. Now,
right.
If someone finds a way to make smaller, more portable CT scanners that can get the job done, maybe they're less powerful or something.
What's scarier is actually something closer to what you're describing.
Rant.
Well, what's interesting is I feel like somebody might try to do a scam where they pretend to scan your cards for you or something, and then it's like a scam and it's like fake. And it wouldn't last long, like you get caught, I guess, but it's just, I wouldn't be surprised to see that sort of seedy service pop up as well.
Or heck, someone just starts marketing a portable CT scanner. It's like, oh yeah, it's a card game CT scanner. We promise it works.
Right. Cool. So that's these scannable. You can scan your Pokemon cards and stuff if you're willing to pay.
Disgusting.
Got another story?
Yeah. This will be a pivot from card games, but it will take us to a place that we're familiar with. Did you know that they're unionizing at Blizzard?
Really? Good.
Yes, that's probably the first good thing I've ever heard about Blizzard. Blizzard.
Well, Wizards of the Coast, that might also still apply, given some of the stuff we hear about them every week.
Maybe they need to unionize.
Okay, so what's the story with this?
So the New Communications Workers of America has confirmed that over 500 employees at Blizzard Entertainment have formed a wall-to-wall union at the Microsoft-owned studio. The new unit is called World of Warcraft Game Makers Guild. There's something right about them referring themselves as a guild. And comprises the entire World of Warcraft development team, including designers, engineers, artists, quality assurance testers, and more. Another 60-person unit of Blizzard Q&A testers called Texas Blizzard Q&A United CWA has formed simultaneously in Austin, Texas. So yeah, just everybody that works for Blizzard, unionized.
They're unionizing. I mean, that's, I guess I can't speak specifically to this story because I don't know much about it. I haven't heard, like, I guess, you hear a lot of bad stuff in general about like Activision Blizzard from gamers. I don't know too much about like what their working conditions might have been like or sort of coverage and things for their jobs. There must be a reason why they're unionizing, so...
They don't say it in the article, and I guess even if they did, no, they couldn't say it necessarily. I think it's all about AI.
Yeah.
AI is the biggest danger to people who work in the gaming industry because
that seems to
nobody's
be what I hear
safe.
a lot about too.
Like,
I did. Did you have anything else on this story?
No, they just say a bunch of other things. And they talk about like past snafus that Blizzard has had. The many.
Well. Not to pivot too quickly, but there is a really relevant story here that I had, which is that investors are suddenly getting very concerned that AI isn't making any serious money. So I'd seen this headline popping up a lot over the last week, just that like Wall Street's kind of growing skeptical of AI. It's not making the returns that a lot of investors had been hoping for. So here's the article from Futurism, and I think the Washington Post reported on this too. An increasing number of Silicon Valley investors and Wall Street analysts are starting to ring the alarm bells over the countless billions of dollars being invested into AI, and overconfidence they warn could result in a massive bubble. So, yeah, basically, despite its expensive price tag, the technology is nowhere near where it needs to be in order to be useful, Goldman Sachs' most senior stock analyst Jim Covello wrote in a report last month. Overbuilding things the world doesn't have use for or is not ready for typically ends badly. Earlier this week, Google released its second quarter earnings, failing to impress investors with razor-thin profit margins and surging costs related to training AI models. Capital expenditures are surging far past what the company had been spending previously, as the Wall Street Journal reports, with this year's total spend expected to surpass $49 billion, or 84% higher than what the company averaged over the last 5 years. And I'll read one more quote. Google CEO Sundar Pichai is holding to his guns, arguing that, quote, the risk of underinvesting is dramatically greater than the risk of overinvesting for us here. Not investing to be at the front has much more significant downsides, he told investors on Tuesday.
That is such a corporate thing to say.
So basically, and this was like last week, yeah, AI is not like turning a profit for a lot of these companies, and it's very expensive, it seems, to research and develop these AI learning models, and they're not seemingly, I guess, showing much fruit of the labor so far.
I think I think we are a bit blind when it comes to AI. We have there's the obvious, the AI projects being worked on by Google and Facebook that they slam in front of our faces every day, and the good headlines, but not performing projects they always tell us about.
Yeah.
A lot of these things are more for the advancement of modern technology, more so than they are about actually putting money in the pockets of billionaires. Okay. Like what Google and Facebook are working on won't actually, or in the short term, isn't going to make anybody richer. It's going to cost them a lot of money. Yeah. In the next 50, 60 years, the AI they're working on today is going to run the world. But that in the short term, it's not going to make any money. The AI that we're not seeing is the one that's going to make the money in the short term. And that's the AI being employed by movie studios, game studios, manufacturing, where they're using AI to replace human workers to save money. It's not making money, it's saving money. That's how AI will reap returns.
Okay.
And to be clear, I hate it.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts. My first is that, I see where it's probably difficult to actually monetize a lot of the AI that, the consumer-facing AI that I've heard talked about. Mm-hmm. So, when you think of, the AI features that a lot of phones are trying to integrate in, Google's trying to put them in Android, Apple recently announced, Apple Intelligence, stuff that's supposed to, help you kind of be able to do, research and write and, type more easily and kind of stuff like that. That stuff's all good, and it can be useful, to kind of streamline some of your creative process maybe or whatever, but I feel like it's not worth paying for in many cases. I think it's difficult to if Samsung's got Samsung AI or whatever, Galaxy AI, if they sort of ask you to pay $20 a month or something to have these cool AI features on your phone, would you pay for them? In the state that the stuff's in right now, I'm not really sure.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you do pay for them. You pay for them when you buy your phone. But I guess the issue they run into, they're not able to charge an extra amount on top of what you pay for your phone. Because our phones are already hellishly expensive. And it's very difficult to get people to become willing to buy more expensive phones. So they can't just charge how much it costs to develop the technology.
Yeah, so for me, I think of how those Google automatic search results, those ones that pop up and stuff, those to me aren't very useful for a number of reasons. Like we've seen that they kind of hallucinate, they just pull junk from the internet. They don't really do the job of showing you search any better than like it already could before. Like you could still like read Google search yourself. Like maybe you could argue it's supposed to be saving time, but then like those are both not useful, not profitable, not, and like they're energy inefficient. Like that's another part of it too. Is like just that like AI queries. Like I know that they are like electricity inefficient. There's so many things about AI that just kind of feel to me like they're just not efficient. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of research, a lot of energy use, and all that stuff for results that just seem unfulfilling. I don't know.
I mean, the efficiency aside, I still don't, even if the results were efficient, how is that making you any more money?
Yeah, that's what I always wondered about the AI thing. It's like, I guess the ultimate plan is to try to sell it to the consumer eventually. Like, I mean, you know, like those features on phones, like maybe Google eventually wants to like charge you $9.99 to have Google AI Plus or something, where you only get the cool AI features if you're willing to like pay. But I don't know that anybody would pay because like they've so far been underwhelming.
I think the reason why they just kind of export them onto whatever devices they currently run on, you can look at it as kind of a large scale test of the software.
Yeah,
they give it out for free because it's not actually useful yet, and this is a chance for them to just test it with a large install base.
Yeah, I guess it's also to see how sensitive people are to AI, which currently it seems, I don't know, like how do you feel like people are receiving AI? Because go ahead.
Most people don't know AI unless they're told it's AI. Most people can't tell the difference between like an automated script and AI. You know, there are still people who think that like those little chat bots that pop up at the bottom of websites that ask you to help, that's AI. It's like, no,
yeah,
those aren't AI.
I think I remember like last year when ChatGPT like blew up at the beginning of last year. Like it's been there before then, but like that's kind of when it hit the mainstream and everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna like try out ChatGPT and talk to it. But it felt like a fad. Like it didn't feel like something that was
Well, I mean, I think ChatGPT as a AI service is utilized as that by the people who know how to make use of it, and not just kids who are trying to get out of writing papers for school.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's the only case of AI being utilized for a purpose by like consumers in a way that's meaningful. Otherwise, it's just like Google showing you some like results that you could scroll once to see. It's Facebook or Meta trying to push whatever their latest AI endeavor is that you don't even notice half the time.
Yeah, there's also this kind of weird thing where like, are you supposed to notice AI or not? Because it's kind of like if AI is doing its job really well, like and being helpful to you, like being a personal assistant or kind of assisting you in search or helping you write your like cleaner text messages or emails, like you almost kind of, it's supposed to fade into the background. But if it fades into the background, then like, I guess, then is it actually seen as valuable?
And I think right now, I think in the long term, yes. But in the short term, in the 2020s, I think AI has to be, they have to yell and bring attention to it because it's not important that your AI is useful. It's important that you have it. It's a game of, well, if Apple has AI, well, Android has to have AI.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if it's actually useful. It just has to have it.
True. Yeah, because Google felt threatened by like, you know, OpenAI's ChatGPT, and that's kind of why they seemingly accelerated the release of like Google Gemini and all that stuff. And then Apple probably felt threatened by Google having it, and so they're like, okay, well, we gotta have like some AI system in our phones or whatever to. It almost seems like that's kind of more for investors' sake, like to feel like the company that you've invested in is like on the cutting edge and isn't potentially falling behind. Like when I hear that quote from like the Google CEO, that's kind of how it reads as like not desperate, but sort of like we got to run the rat race because the other people are running the rat race.
Yeah.
So.
And in that way, you know, if we're all running a race, I think in the short term it might become like it might become a bubble. as we force more spending into these AI features that don't actually matter or mean much to the modern everyday person.
Yeah. So here's just a little more in this article. Sure, the tech giant has a lot of cash to burn, but seeing any returns on those $49 billion will likely prove far more difficult. With the AI market clogged with products that are still mostly free, the tech costs a lot to run but isn't bringing in much cash. And Google's facing similar challenges to Microsoft and Meta, which are committing vast swaths of their available resources to AI without a clear monetization plan. And see, that's, I guess, what I'm really getting at is just this whole, like, what is the plan for AI? Like, it still feels like what you said, where it's so experimental and like they're getting it into people, like just kind of trying to see what people think about it and let people mess around with it. But it just doesn't seem like there's a like in 10 years or 20 years, what will the monetization structure of AI look like? Like, will it be a B2B thing? Like, because I actually thought that was what it was going to be kind of from the jump, was just like, it's just businesses with AI models sell them to like other businesses that need said AI models, whether that's for film and writing and video game creation or like other things. And I thought it was actually going to kind of be something that like we normal humans, that sounds creepy, but like,
Peasants.
Us peasants, like we wouldn't really be like able to use AI, if that makes sense.
That's exactly right. And that hasn't changed. It's, they're making features to appeal to us, but that's just so they can all look like they're on the cutting edge of technology. And so they remain competitive in the short term because people are finicky and wishy-washy. If Apple didn't get loud and proud about their endeavors into AI and incorporating it into their phones, then Android phones will get to say that they have AI features, and that's something they can hold over Apple phones. And Apple doesn't want that. Apple wants to be able to make whatever Samsung says they can do, we can do it, and we can do it better. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
That's why I say that we as like the peasants, we are blind when it comes to AI. We're not seeing the AI that actually matters. We're just seeing the junk that's being like over invested in and spewed out to placate us and so they can look good.
The window dressing. One last thing I would add too is like, I still don't think that AI is like giving great results in many cases. Like, I still feel like it's just unreliable. Like, even if, there's a future where AI can really help you and be like your perfect little digital assistant and like it knows, understands you, and you've just willingly given up that data, which that's a different conversation. But, assume that you do have like this perfect assistant. Like right now, that doesn't exist. Like, and right now, I don't trust AI to really do much of like anything. AI generated images, I can take pride in being able to say I can still tell what's an AI generated image and what isn't. But also, like, they're still hallucinating on search results. Like all this, like you said, like all this consumer facing AI is like neat party tricks that are not like, you wouldn't really rely on them for work, I don't think.
It's people, the engineers of the world have been using AI technology to create tools that have practical uses that we do use. AI is useful. When we're using Adobe, the Adobe Creative Suite, and we employ one of the 1,000 AI features within Adobe Premiere, right?
Yeah.
They work just fine. They don't do a whole lot. They do a little, and that's actually all you need. In that way, AI is doing its job. When I was working on this math course that I'd never taken before, and I needed concepts explained and broken down to me in like a visual way, and YouTube wasn't cutting it, I was able to just go over to ChatGPT and ask it to explain these like math concepts that I wasn't familiar with to me. And when I asked it to illustrate those ideas, it could do that too. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't pretty, but it got the job done.
Yeah, I think that's true. That like, when you just boil it down to just a like kind of useful tool, I think there's something there. Like, I know like some people can reliably use it to like write emails for them. And like, I don't have like an issue with that. Like, because I don't think that's something that's going to like take anyone's jobs away. Not really.
Well, if you're doing the job of like 100 men by yourself.
Yeah, so Because like I don't want like artists and stuff to say lose their jobs or animators or things like that. But I don't really have a problem with I guess AI like being able to write an email for me. That's or not like or you know like
Yeah, like for you personally in your workflow, if it can just make your day-to-day like business and job just a little bit easier, it's done its job. That's all AI ever needs to be. We don't need to have AI LeBron James being your best friend. We don't need your phone to be able to like take a picture and then place you in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris.
it gives me that. Sorry, go ahead.
Like those are just like you said, window dressing. It's cute, I guess, but that's not why AI is really being. That's not why businesses are throwing millions of dollars into or billions of dollars into AI. They're looking for more practical, actionable uses.
I'm reminded of that one quote. I don't know the exact quote, but it goes something along the lines of like, you know, I don't want AI to like write my stories and make my movies and stuff while I have to like do the laundry and fold the clothes. I want AI to do the laundry and fold the clothes so that I can write and read and like create. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So instead of having AI try to take the job of artists, take the job of animators, take the jobs of writers, like human writers, and then put them out of work and now they're just having to do, I don't know, manual labor or just sit around and not have jobs, I would rather, hey, AI can like sort my laundry for me and it can kind of like do the menial stuff around the house so that now like I have more time to read or play games or write. Like that'd be ideal anyway.
Yeah.
So.
But,
yeah.
you know, that's not going to, that doesn't happen fast and it's not going to make a lot of money like yesterday, but give it time. It'll end up saving many industries a lot of money.
Right. So, anywho, that was the AI story. Back to you.
All right. So it's been a while since I brought the MCU up on the pod.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a delightful time. I truly enjoyed not talking about the MCU. But, San Diego Comic-Con happened.
It did.
And they revealed that Marvel has shelled out the money to bring Robert Downey Jr. officially back into the fold. We all knew it was happening. The writing's been on the wall. There have been stories and interviews. Like, we knew it was happening. Mm-hmm. And it's been announced that he will be playing Doctor Doom in the
Avengers.
MCU.
Yeah, in Avengers Doomsday.
And probably a few other works, too.
And others, too. Oh, my God, dude. There's so much to say about this.
Like, so the thing I want to talk about first is what it cost them. You know that Thanos meme? Like, what did it cost? Yada, yada, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, because it was always a matter of money. The original Avengers actors are the reason the MCU is what it is today. Everyone knows it. And the thing is, a lot of them are getting older. A lot of them are getting bored. A lot of them just don't want to keep doing those MCU movies over and over and over again. But everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price.
I heard that they paid him upwards of like $80 million or something.
So he's being paid more than $80 million.
Okay.
See, the Russo brothers, who are making their return to the MCU, are being paid $80 million to direct Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars.
Right.
We don't know the exact number for Robert Downey Jr., but he's being paid more than that.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I've seen these reports that they paid him nearly double that, and also that he had loads of stipulations and kind of creature comforts that he was allocated. Things I've heard, these are just rumors, but private jets and his trailer is literally going to be built out into an entire thing. He's having it nice. And
I mean, there's probably no one person more valuable to the MCU, to that
Correct.
franchise.
Yeah, that's the thing. Normally, I would be like, wow, he's being such a diva here. But the truth is, he is, the number one most recognizable person in the MCU. And, you could argue he made them. Like that entire group of early actors like made the MCU. If
He was
Kevin
their first
Feige,
star.
yeah, if they want to get him back, especially, you know, Robert Downey Jr., but really all of them, Chris Evans and stuff like that, like they're gonna have to pay, and like, you know, they've got all the bargaining power. Like the actors have all the bargaining power here.
Because I mean, technically, it is kind of funny. You know, the MCU's been on this kind of downturn since Endgame. Of pretty much everybody in the MCU, except save like Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr. has not missed when it comes to his MCU flicks. It's been box office success after success after success for him.
So here's my question for you. You know, does this reek of desperation? I've heard some people say that it does. How do you feel about, like, because here's the thing. It didn't have to be RDJ playing, you know, Doctor Doom.
Right,
it
right.
Clearly feels like they went with the biggest name because they're in a very dangerous position, right? They had to do the recasting of Kang, and like they have to kind of write out that entire storyline, which is going to be interesting seeing how exactly they choose to do that, because they're going to have to still say something about it, like, you know, find some way to kind of Deus Ex Machina it away. But like, do you think that casting Robert Downey Jr. and maybe even more specifically showcasing him here, because it could have been a fun like reveal in the actual movie, but instead they kind of are telling us right off the bat that he's playing this character. Like, do you think that, what does that mean? Like, how does that look to you?
So, I think they were going to bring back Robert Downey Jr. with or without the Jonathan Majors situation. But I think it would have looked very different had the Kang Dynasty thing gone off without a hitch. The fact that Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doctor Doom, I think, is because of the Major situation. They needed a new bad guy. They needed a new Thanos. They already knew they were going to find a way to bring back RDJ because they knew they needed him. But somebody had the great idea of merging the solution to both those problems into one and ultimately saving them money. They knew they needed to have a new big bad guy. But then it's like, okay, but who do we have play the big bad guy? Because we're kind of hurting right now. They're like, well, we're hurting and we need to bring back our original Avengers cast. Who's like the biggest fish that we can bring back? It's RDJ. That's gonna cost us. And they were like, oh, okay, wait a minute. What if we just have him be our villain? We'll have the eggheads figure out a story to make it work later. We'll just announce that he'll be our villain. And there's no reason to pass up that idea, because it's not like they don't have the wallet for it, right? This is the MCU backed by Disney. They can afford it.
This was like the right move.
Yeah, I think this was their best move in a really bad situation. Is it desperate? Is it despotism? It's despotism many times over. They were incredibly desperate. I think they found their like kind of like the checkmate to their problems.
Yeah, they found a good solution, and I mean, it seems to be going over really well with people. I mean, like, I'd say that there's some people feel, you know, maybe weary or uneasy about it, like us, kind of from the sounds of it. But I think it's had the effect that they intended. It obviously, you know, kind of blew up the internet. It's got people excited and kind of feeling reinvigorated about the MCU. It's probably pulled a lot of fans who are maybe waning a bit, not like the Marvel haters, but we're talking like the, you know, the person who they like Marvel, but maybe they've slowed, they're not like seeing every movie.
The people who watched Endgame but then didn't watch Shang-Chi.
Right, and they kind of have slowed down. They don't see the movies maybe on release weekend in theaters anymore, but perhaps like, oh, I'll kind of wait for it to get on Disney Plus, and maybe I'll watch it, and maybe they'll kind of, you know, skip a few. Like, I think for those people, like, they're like sitting up straight again, right?
Yeah.
And they care, and it's nice for them coming off the heels of like Deadpool and Wolverine, which I haven't seen yet, by the way, but I hope to see it maybe sometime soon. But you know, I've heard that's been really well received. So it just kind of feels like, like Deadpool saved the MCU. That's kind of something I've heard a lot of people say. And so like you follow that up immediately the very next weekend with like, oh my God, and like RDJ's playing like, Doctor, like Doom, like what? This is crazy. And then we got like the years that the next movies are coming out. And so it feels like it's a nice way to kind of rebound and get the hype going again. And part of me even thinks like this is just kind of what people wanted. Like,
people don't want new things. They want the things they liked served to them again and again.
And again and again. And the average, and this isn't meant to be an insult to the average MCU enjoyer. I mean, like I've been watching MCU stuff recently too. I think the average MCU enjoyer really, they kind of just want like more. Like it's weird because there's that conversation about like, the MCU is dying or it's dead or whatever, and like they should have ended it Endgame. They should, it was way better back in the day. Well, what if we kind of give you back in the day with the same actor you love, just in a different role? I guess like this is what like we want. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. Because when you think about the average MCU watcher, you have to remember this is a huge like subset of people. Like this is an astronomical number. We can't actually point to a person, even call them an average MCU watcher because the extremes are so different. The average MCU watcher is not a real person, but like it's a collective, it's a group. It's kind of like one person is smart, but people are dumb type things. So the average MCU watcher, they just want to be fed the same things over and over again. We want to relive those same hype moments again and again and again. And that's what RDJ accomplishes.
It's what he represents. And I think, people are willing to be fed like what is that? Like, that one quote where it's like, this is how liberty dies with thunderous applause, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that quote. Yeah, it kind of feels a little bit like that. Where, not saying that this is like an awful thing. Like, obviously, he is going to do an amazing job. He is a very accomplished actor, and he's good. And like they know he's good. He will do great. It's just kind of that like, this to me doesn't exactly fix too much of the Marvel issue. It's just it's such a nice, for them, it fixes the main issue, which is people's attention. Like, narratively, will they be able to make this work? Maybe, maybe not, whatever. But like, it still gets the eyes and like the dollars back in their favor, and that's what's most important for them. So
the MCU had to learn a hard lesson that any comic book reader could have already told them. People don't read comics. Yeah. And that's the thing the MCU didn't quite understand. They thought that beyond Avengers Endgame, they could work with the plethora of content that exists in the Marvel portfolio and still just, make money hand over fist. But people don't read comics.
So people weren't really into those.
We all know about Spider-Man, but we didn't all read the comics.
Yeah,
why?
People weren't into those like obscure characters and stuff.
We know the most important things, and that's what we make sure that we're apprised of. Nobody can tell, or the average person can't tell you what issue and comic Gwen Stacy died in, but they can tell you she did die because they saw The Amazing Spider-Man. A lot of people can't tell you the issue of when Spider-Man was initially taken over by the symbiote and became Black Spider-Man. But they know it happened because they watched the original Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah.
It's much the same with the MCU, where the Avengers saga was the thing to watch. And everyone could say, I'm a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
But they weren't actually going to go beyond that. They weren't going to leave that core thing that everyone's been participating in, because the idea is you're doing what everyone's doing. Yeah. To then go and watch the Marvels or watch like Secret Invasion, that's the niche stuff. That's for the nerds who really like it, and we were disappointed, mind you. But that's for the nerds who really like it. The average MCU enjoyer, it's because everyone's watching that I'm watching. I don't even know who these other
Yeah.
people are. Like, what's a Moon Knight? I think some people watched Moon Knight because of memes online, but people didn't know who Moon Knight was. This wasn't a thing.
I mean, I think just in general, Marvel is at least they're taking the right steps. Like they clearly are aware that the conversation has been a little bit like tumultuous for them. Like I think that they are making the right call in releasing fewer Marvel things every year, right?
Yeah.
Like
I think that was a smart decision.
Deadpool and Wolverine,
I think
I
it's
think is
paying off.
it's the only MCU thing that released this year, and I think that helps a lot because it means like we have a little bit of time to miss these characters and miss these movies and like gain some like kind of longing and yearning for them back. And
Right.
while also when they come back, they feel like a treat again. It's not like, okay, there's a new Marvel movie every 3 months, and then between each Marvel movie, there's also a new Disney Plus show. It's like, okay, no, we're gonna have like 1 to 2 movies every year, and there'll be big ones and there'll be big moments, but it won't be like just the Marvel soup, and you have to do so much homework and blah 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 blah. So,
And look, I'm gonna tell you right now, this probably $100 million star RDJ is not gonna let Marvel overwork him.
yeah,
Whatever's in that contract, he's going to work just as much as he wants to work. There will probably be many stunt doubles, and they will probably use AI technology to limit just how much he has to do. Now, I don't think he's sold hit the MCU his images, his like the rights to use him as an AI like model for the future. But I fully expect that he should not have to work all that hard on these 2 films.
yeah.
Not because given his age, given how much he's worth to this company, given the fact that he held out this long, he's gonna work
Yeah.
he's gonna work just as much as possible, and that's good enough for the MCU. They just needed him to say that he would do it,
Yeah,
and
they
that
need
would
him
save them.
They need him far more than he needs them. That's for sure.
Because I mean, I think they said I was looking at an article. I lost it now. I think they said that he has made like $500 million for Marvel
Yeah, I mean,
over the course of his like time there.
yeah. Okay? So here's like kind of just an offbeat one. Do you think Chris Evans comes back and is recast as something? Because he's like arguably like the number 2, face of Marvel. So
Marvel's probably going to take it easy. If they paid RDJ the money I think they paid him, I think they're going to take it easy with casting Chris Evans, because now RDJ has set a new standard for what you can expect to be paid if you are an original Avenger. They can't all get his money. None of them can. Mark Ruffalo can't. Scarlett Johansson can't. They can't get that money, but they can. But they now know their value has like doubled and tripled versus whatever they got paid for their last works. They can get paid a lot more now.
yeah, it's just kind of an interesting thought. I was just wondering, like, will they do
But
like a Chris
I do
Evans
think they
thing
will
and
bring him
just-
back.
And so, oh, sorry, go ahead. Any more thoughts on that?
So I do think they will bring him back. I don't think it'll be the next movie. I don't think it's going to be a movie after that. It might be possibly in RDJ's final role as Doom. Maybe we see Chris Evans Captain America. Maybe he shows up to stop him in the end,
Or maybe they do kind of what they're doing with RDJ, where like he'll be a villain, some major villain, because that kind of seems to be the whole gist. Like Tony Stark was like the biggest hero, and now he's going to be like the big bad in the next saga. So,
I mean, we're going into
remember, we have the multiverse.
uncharted territory.
Alec,
In
we've
the
got
comics,
the multiverse to save us narratively. Remember?
in the comics, everything has happened before.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen evil Iron Man. We've seen evil Tony Stark, like time and time again. So,
so they could
nothing
definitely
is
do it.
ever off the table with us, at least turning them evil. But they got to keep their marketing, like they got to keep the marketing together, right? Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. You can make him a villain because he's so beloved. Chris Evans is actually a little different. He's Captain America. The optics of making Captain America evil in a movie made for the West, That's
Yeah, maybe that doesn't go over too well.
that's probably a little too edgy for investors.
I mean, it all depends on it. It really all depends on the writing. Like, how, do they truly like? Is it even him? Is it evil Captain America, or is it just Chris Evans plays entirely different, unrelated character? Because that's like different, you know.
It's not
maybe
really,
it isn't so different. Depends on who you
Chris
ask.
Evans is always Captain America. Even when he's not, he's still Captain America. And like
Right.
marketing wise, that's tough. That's tough to work with.
Yeah.
Though he does like playing like the characters that are clearly not Captain America, which I think that's the fun part about him as an actor. That he enjoys playing things that are very different from what he's known for.
You know who Chris Evans actually reminds me of is like Daniel Radcliffe, the Harry Potter actor, where, you know, they're really iconic and known for like a certain role, but it seems like they really like can't wait to get as far away from it as they can. Or at least they enjoy subverting expectations and being just wildly different characters than what they were in their starring role.
Right.
So that's the Marvel thing. I mean, I know lots of people have very strong opinions on the MCU. You guys kind of know where I stand. I raised my eyebrow at the announcement, but I will probably be in the theaters watching the movies. I still can happily say I don't even actually know who the fuck Doctor Doom is. So like, I'm not even joking about that. Like, I'm not.
Oh,
trying
I
to
know
be
you don't. I
ironic
know you're
and
not
funny.
joking.
I don't know who Doctor Doom is. So like, I don't know like anything about these characters. Like, so while like I get the hype for me is like, okay, I see that they're bringing back like Robert Downey Jr. and so I get why people care. And I know what he's done for the MCU. I actually don't know like anything. I didn't know anything about Kang. I don't know who Doctor Doom is. Like neither of them. You know, it doesn't mean anything to me. So
like I'll say this. You're not alone. I think the vast majority of people don't actually know anything about Doctor Doom. I think their knowledge of Doctor Doom starts and ends with the Fantastic Four.
yeah.
I think compared to like people who read comics every day, even I don't know anything about Doctor Doom, but I surely know more about Doctor Doom than the average person does. I think he's a stronger villain than Kang as far as with the average person. Because of a lot people know about the Fantastic Four, he's most known for being their villain.
Okay.
It's a strong choice, but you're not alone. I really don't think many people know much about Doom.
Okay. Well, any other stories?
Let's see. Gotta check my.
Because I have
I
like
closed
one
the
more
page.
quick one.
You go, because I lost my page.
Twitch is reportedly at risk of becoming a zombie brand at Amazon as it still struggles for profitability.
Oh.
So, following a round of layoffs earlier this year, Twitch boss Dan Clancy admitted that the streaming service has remained unprofitable. You might have known that Amazon purchased Twitch in 2014, and they were not profitable then, but obviously they were fine with them not being profitable at that point. The goal was like, oh, like the streaming thing will grow or whatever. Well, 10 years on, and Twitch still is not profitable. It's not like Twitter in that way. So now, as Twitch approaches 10 years in Amazon's portfolio, it's still not profitable, and insiders have concerns about its future, the future of the brand. So according to a report in the Wall Street Journal, insiders worry that Twitch might become a zombie brand, or an acquisition that becomes sidelined because it's underperforming at Amazon. These sources pointed to other Amazon sites like Goodreads and Woot, which I've not heard of either one,
Goodreads.
as examples.
I know that one.
What is Goodreads?
Goodreads, you can look at it as social media for readers. It's very lame. Oh, okay, that's not fair to say, especially if anyone actually uses Goodreads. But I think of it as social media for like book readers.
For bookworms?
I have used it in the past.
Oh, look at you bookworm.
No, but that was the deep past, like
Okay.
a long time ago.
Well, anyways, employees also reportedly worry they might face another round of layoffs later this year following an annual review. Earlier this year, the platform laid off over 500 members of its staff, citing a need for cost cutting. So, yeah, Twitch has reportedly faced a few major setbacks over the past few years, with its web traffic ranking in the United States falling and its advertising sales and number of users both stagnating, which isn't as bad as falling. Twitch's biggest spenders and one of its strongest sources of revenue have also reportedly spent less on subscriptions and donations, with internal projections suggesting that this trend might cost Twitch close to $250 million in revenue by the end of 2025. But a spokesperson for Amazon told Wall Street Journal the company still feels confident in Twitch's potential. So,
yeah, as Amazon finds a way to like rip it apart, rebrand it, and like put it out as something new.
I'm sure they will. So what do you think? I mean, how do you feel about Twitch? Do you think it's...
So my feelings on Twitch has always been that it is a very strong niche.
Yeah.
I think it has been billed as this competitor to YouTube, as the other way to be like a successful content creator if you're not on a Google or Meta platform.
Yeah.
But the numbers don't lie. It's never made that much money. And I think that's because of the culture of Twitch, which is why it exists and why it's so prominent. The culture of Twitch is not to squeeze every little dime out of its audience, and regular Twitch users aren't expecting or even trying to spend that much money on the platform. They try to add, they put ads into Twitch streams as aggressively as they can, but there's a limit to what they can do because there are more successful competitors out there where people don't have to stay on Twitch, right? They keep leaving left and right whenever they get a good deal somewhere else.
I was going to say, I've got a couple thoughts on it too. I agree with everything you said. I think that there's two big things come to mind for me. The first one being that Twitch is a live streaming platform and not a VOD's first platform, and like YouTube is. And so kind of the way that I read that is basically, you go to Twitch for the moment. Like a thing is happening right now, and so you need to like be there, right? Like Kai Cenat's doing this crazy thing, like Kevin Hart's spending the night, right? Or like there's a big esports tournament, like a Smash Bros tournament, and it's like only streaming on Twitch, and you need to like tune into it, or whatever. But like you do it kind of when that's happening. But I think fewer people go to Twitch to like watch reruns or VODs, and so it's just like, I think that the culture of how a person, the average person will say, engages with Twitch feels different than YouTube. Like with YouTube, live streaming is not really the foremost thing on your mind. It's more like just, what do I want to watch? YouTube's got everything. I can search and discover. I can let the homepage guide me. Like I can have a watch later list of just like all the videos I want to catch up on. There's like VODs of, late night shows and stuff like that. And then there's also like independent, just creator like there's so many things, and your niche will always be filled. And I think like with Twitch, that's just less so the case. And so I think it's probably less valuable to advertisers because the average Twitch viewer probably isn't even necessarily signed in. Like they're just kind of like popping on Twitch because the big live thing is happening now, but they don't even have a Twitch account. They're just kind of watching. And so it's like harder to do like get kind of targeted marketing and things like that. The second thing too is like, I know this might not have that much to do with like Twitch's profitability per se, but I know like as a content creator, they say it's harder to get noticed on Twitch compared to places like YouTube. So
it seems horrible.
Just getting discovered on Twitch seems kind of tough. So that's like where my head's at.
It's all about the business model for Twitch is not suited for the scale that they want it to be at. Yeah. Because it's live streaming, you can't make your money the same way YouTube does. Why? Because if it's live stream content, your ad would have to run over the content, which means you can only get away with doing that like 1 or 2 times on someone's stream before people just start leaving.
And Twitch's ads can be pretty egregious. They're typically very long. They line up multiple ones. And
I think it's because they have to be.
Yeah, and they have to be because they gotta get it where they can. But like when I'm watching a live stream and then Twitch does that thing where it's like, okay, like 1 of 5 ads or 1 of 9 or something, it's like, I'm out of here. Like I literally, even with my Smash Bros tournaments, and that again, Smash is like the only thing I tune into Twitch for, is when there's like a big tournament going on. And more tournaments have been streaming them on YouTube. And I just prefer to watch them on YouTube. The player is better. Like you can rewind at any time during the live stream, which on Twitch you can't do that. I'm so surprised you can't. And like the ads aren't as intrusive on YouTube, or if you have premium, like I use premium, like I don't even get ads on YouTube. But like on Twitch, you only don't get ads on channels that you're subbed to. So it's like a whole, it's kind of a less pleasant experience.
And you know,
being on Twitch for
YouTube
me.
has this kind of like cycle to it, where every piece of content that gets uploaded onto YouTube falls into YouTube's kind of catalog, where YouTube can make money off of pretty much everything that's ever been uploaded to that website.
Yeah.
And they try to, and it's in their best interest to feed that content to somebody so they can make money off of it. That's why YouTube is a better platform for discovery, because even if it doesn't feel like it, YouTube wants people to watch your videos. With Twitch, it's more difficult. With Twitch, when you start live streaming, that's the time for Twitch to that's the time you make money for Twitch. The moment you stop streaming, you are no longer making any money for Twitch. And now they have to wait for someone else big to start streaming. It's a very infrequent cash flow, and they're not dealing with this exponential growth of a backlog where people can just sit on Twitch all day and just watch whatever, because that's not the point of Twitch. I don't want to sit here and watch old content. I want to watch new things.
You want to watch new, but the new is only relevant while it's live, and like that's it. One last thing I'll add in on this too is I know like Twitch just in general feels like they're always kind of embroiled in a bit of controversy. That's not to say that YouTube isn't, but just that like, you know, there's always the hot tub meta, or like the implied nudity ban thing, or like whenever you hear about some IRL streamer getting into some trouble or crazy prank, weird allegation, getting swatted on stream.
Allegations happen to YouTubers all the time.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. I mean, I guess like, I hope that Twitch can become profitable. I think what's probably going to happen soon is just another like increase in the cost of subs, which I would love to know statistics on that. Like, you know, a Twitch sub, because they were $5. I know they said they're like raising it to $5.99, I believe, this year. Maybe they've already done that or something. I wonder how many like subs on average a person has. Like, I'm assuming one. Like, you don't like. I don't know how many. I wonder how many people sub to more than one Twitch channel. I mean, if any at all.
I know there are people who do it, but I think the major issue with Twitch, and this is my hard take on Twitch, is I don't think it'll ever be profitable.
Okay.
If in 10 years the corporation that is Amazon has not found a way to make this platform profitable, I don't think it can be done. I think their business model does not actually work for profit. Maybe you can justify it for reasons other than profit, but I just don't think it works. And I'm not an expert in the field, so I can't say why exactly it doesn't work. I can spitball 1,001 different things I think is wrong with Twitch and why it doesn't actually work. I think in order for Twitch to be profitable, it has to be shut down and built back up from the ground up with knowing what they know now, and then rebuilding the platform for profit.
And it probably wouldn't be nearly as fun, I assume, in such a scenario.
I don't think it would get to be fun. I don't even think it would build up the same way it did the first time, because Twitch built up off of this very fun, organic, kind of free-form content creation that was going on at the time, where you could just do it, right? You could just do it. There was very little moderation, and you built up these grassroots streams and streamers, and they became superstars within their communities. That can't happen again, and I think it's likely that Amazon will, at some point, they're going to close the door on Twitch as we know it, and release a different. It'll be a dark one. Yeah. And I think they'll probably release Twitch under like some new, more Amazon-y type name.
Oh, that Amazon Live. Oh, yuck.
Though I don't even think that'll work necessarily, because I think the moment Twitch disappears, all the Twitch streamers go to YouTube, or one of the many like Twitch copycats that I don't think will be around long either.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only reason I feel like Kick even stays around is because like apparently it's funded by a bunch of like gambling money, but I don't know anything about that, so who knows.
I think Kick is probably a bubble to be popped.
Yeah, well, that is all my stories. Did you still have one?
No, that's it. I'm clean.
all
I'm
for you?
cleaned out.
Awesome. So it's time for us to answer some Pot of Greed questions. Before we do, though, if you're enjoying the premiere and you're watching on YouTube, just a reminder.
Give us a like.
Give us a like, yes. We would appreciate that. I'm sure we probably have more concurrent viewers than we have likes. That's usually what the stat looks like anyway.
It is what it is.
Please drop a like, a thumbs up. It really does help us a lot. Spreads it to more. And now, let's get to the Pot of Greed questions. Oh yeah, and a quick reminder, if you ever want to submit a question to the Pot of Greed, there should be a link in the description where you can write us a question. Or you can even include it in your review, or whatever you want to do. That works too.
And then you can, that way you can join in on the pot too.
Yes. You make it sound... You sounded so disgusted by that. Okay, so here's a quick question. Should Konami do what the Pokemon TCG does every year, where they reprint the champions of the previous World Championship decks with non-tournament legal backs? I think it'd be a fun format for people to do. So I don't know if you knew about this.
This is just my opinion. Oh, I know. I'm very familiar with Pokemon's tournament winning packaging.
Okay.
Their sets, anyway. Anyway. It's just my opinion, but I don't think it's worth it for Konami to do so. And here's my reasoning.
Okay.
Because usually when a deck wins Worlds...
It gets banned?
It gets banned to hell. And then all the cards are reprinted and it just doesn't matter.
So the thing with this is, I mean, I guess, like, these are going to be non-tournament legal backs. Like, that's what they do with Pokemon. You can't, like, take those to a tournament and play with them. So I guess it's just kind of meant to be like you can reenact the live sort of championship deck at the kitchen table with your friends. I guess it's supposed to be the appeal of that.
But I will say it's likely that once all those cards get banned, they'll be so cheap that you'll probably just be able to pick them up for the low.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's a weird game too, where the power creep runs so fast in this game that like that deck wouldn't even be relevant even if it wasn't banned. You know what I mean? Like, okay, sorry, I'm being too negative. It'd be cool if they did it. I don't think it would like sell very well, if you know what I mean. Like, because I think that the prestige of like winning Worlds is already not high, actually. Like, Worlds has this own weird isolated format that's different than the OCG and TCG, and it's just like kind of just this one weekend format that you as a regular like player don't even really experience. So while it's cool to think about like having the winning deck list, it's not really like a format you'd be playing in.
I still think we should have a proper Worlds format where for like a straight month, everybody plays the Worlds format.
Yeah. That's
and like, that is the only way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! For like this month leading up to Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're kind of doing that with like the Worlds OTS thing, like for that weekend only. You get to also play the Worlds format, I think.
Too short.
But that's too short. Like, I feel like they need more time to get people like invested in the format itself. But either way, should they do a product like this? Sure, why not? Maybe it should almost be like a made-to-order thing, because I just don't think this would work on a store shelf. I might be just being too much of a Debbie Downer about that, but I don't know that a lot of people would buy it. Maybe they would.
If you advertise it to the average person, the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship deck, like World Champion, and like Kaiba's on the cover, and
you know what? Never mind. There might be something there. Yeah, you're right. If you brand it like that,
feels marketable. Like it does feel marketable, because I mean I've seen the Pokemon like the champion decks, and the marketing's worked on me. I mean, I haven't purchased it, but boy, did I want to.
Yeah.
Even though I don't play Pokemon.
Okay. Well, here's the next question. Hey guys, long fan of the pod, and I was just wondering, would you guys consider branching out and maybe playing something like D&D? You could even make encounters in the game a duel. IDK, just food for thought. This comes from Swag Lizard.
All right, Swag, you listen here, buddy. D&D is the one nerdy thing that I've been avoiding my entire life. I'm still trying to avoid it.
Why D&D?
It's just, I keep many hobbies, and just it's hard to name a nerdy thing that I haven't participated in some way, shape, or form. So I think it was in 2012, I said, okay, I'm just not gonna get into like tabletop beyond card games, and that includes D&D. Like
I'm just wondering,
it's
like,
not.
what about it?
I have nothing against it.
Okay.
I have nothing against it. I just said that because I do everything else. I am
Right.
monetarily invested in everything else.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
to draw a line.
I mean, I think I'd like to try out D&D. I remember I technically tried it once in high school, but like it was super brief. Like we're talking like 15 minutes, and because I had to go or something, and then I just never did it again.
Did
Not
Alex
because
send you a link to the thing that he found?
the
The
what did he
Duel
find?
Academy thing?
No?
No? Oh man, he found a some type of like RPG game online that you can play with friends where it's essentially a D&D like experience, but you built decks in this online kind of dueling book simulator.
Okay.
And you carry your deck through the game, and you play through the simulator, and it's a thing.
So, listen. That should be like a Yu-Gi-Oh video game, and I'll play that. Like, if they make a Yu-Gi-Oh video game where it's like an RPG, and like you kind of have to gather cards and walk around and challenge people, and sure, I'm down for that. I mean, I'm even to get back to the actual question, I'm down for D&D too. Like, I'd love to learn it. I just don't know if I have like enough time I can set aside. I'd like to, so. But if it's Yu-Gi-Oh, I want that to be a video game, I think. In my opinion, anyway.
In some ways you could incorporating Yu-Gi-Oh into like a D&D game. I'm sure people have done it. It sounds like it would be kind of a pain if it was modern Yu-Gi-Oh because you're mixing a very long form game like D&D with a card game that is also quite long. But if you're playing with older cards, maybe it's fine.
But even then, though, like older cards, the duels would technically still take long. Like that might still be disruptive to the experience.
That's true too. I think in that game that Alex played, they played like less life points or something like that. Anyway, my answer to the question is it sounds good for everybody but me.
Okay, well. Okay, here's one. Hey Paul, one thing I noticed since diving into the whole Time Wizard format thing over the past couple of years is the difference in player base between Time Wizard format and Advanced format.
Oh,
I got the sense that Time Wizard format players are more mature, established, and more working professionals, aka come home from work, drop the suitcase, put the kids to bed, and duel. My thought is that these people have made it far enough in life to have the time and money to relive their Yu-Gi-Oh! Glory days. In contrast, advanced players are often younger and are a more general and diverse player base. Just an observation I've made. Thanks, love the channel and the podcast.
Okay, he took it easy. Okay, cool.
Alec, okay, so hit me. What do you think then?
Oh, I thought we were about to get hit with a huge insult to modern Yu-Gi-Oh players, but no, it was not an insult.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I was worried where that was headed.
What do you think about this? I kind of agree, I guess.
Ever since we went to TCG-Con and I saw the sheer amount of interest in playing Edison and GOAT format, and versus the interest and the types of people who were playing modern format, I noticed that yes, there is a demographic difference.
Yes. I mean, it would only naturally be that way, though, right? Like, I mean, people are trying to relive those glory days, and if you were playing during Edison, and especially GOAT, then you've got to be at least 30 right now, right? Like,
I mean, you're probably on the older end of card gamers. But I want to be clear about this. GOAT and Edison players can be broke too.
Broke, yeah, certainly. Yeah,
modern players can be professionals.
I've always felt that like Yu-Gi-Oh these days, as it's such a niche thing, and we always talk about how like it's kind of tough to get into Yu-Gi-Oh. Like you don't really see much super young blood getting in. I think just in general, Yu-Gi-Oh, and maybe this even applies to all card games, but that might be me extrapolating too far. It's just like you kind of have to like maybe not be like a working professional, but like you you have to have like an income to play these games. You know what I mean? Like enough of a disposable income to like kind of like be able to buy stuff and that sort of thing. So
I feel like like Goat and Edison players, I feel like they play other card games if they're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh for the most part. I think some of them come back, just for Yu-Gi-Oh. That's their only card game. I do think that is a type of person as well. But I think a lot of Goat and Edison players are like Magic players. I think they play all kinds of other card games. It's just that modern Yu-Gi-Oh is asking more of them than they really want to put into it. But Goat and Edison are cards and formats that they're already familiar with, and so they don't have to learn too much new. So it's a easier thing to like dip your toes into, and it's a nostalgia thing as well.
Right. Okay. No, I mean I think that as far as the question goes, it's mostly right. The one last thing the person said is, I think like with modern players, the general median age I'm noticing is about like 21, 22, maybe a little higher, maybe a little, like depending, and more diverse, I guess, kind of checks out. Yes, no?
I mean, I can't speak to whether or not modern players are more diverse than Time Wizard format players.
Yeah, like
but they will be
that.
Younger on average. I think there are plenty of old modern players. And there are probably still some young, like Time Wizard format players, but the whole draw of Time Wizard is you've been around the block for a minute, you've been here for some time.
Okay, so last question: how would you design a beer league Yu-Gi-Oh format? I've never heard it called that exactly. But modern Yu-Gi-Oh can be a little crazy and toxic at times. What if you took modern Yu-Gi-Oh, scaled back the power level a bit? I'm just wishing there's a format similar to modern Yu-Gi-Oh, but that would be ideal to play with friends while crushing back some beers or your adult beverage of choice. Maybe a format of anime-centric decks that aren't super meta could be really fun. Maybe limit the format to only one hand trap so you can still interact on your opponent's turn, but not just win because you drew 3 hand traps. Maybe get rid of them all together. Thanks for taking the time to read my question. And also, shout out to Alec for suggesting Paul listen to MBDTF.
Oh, my beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Also, this person has given you a tier list. This is for Alec specifically. That says, so top tier is MBDTF is top. Then WTT is next. Then Yeezus is next. Then Graduation is next. Then College Dropout. Then Late Registration. Then 808. Then TLOP, and then finally everything else.
Woo! That is certainly a Kanye West album tier list if I ever heard one.
You agree? Yes, no? Well, we can come back to it right after this actual question, which is how to design a beer league Yu-Gi-Oh format. Honestly, try out domain format. I'm serious. That's just the easier answer to this. Like, because
I mean, if you just
it's
off
four-player,
my
it's social,
observations, I've seen more people playing Commander over beers than any other card game or format I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, what's that store that we went to in Portland, Moxie's or whatever?
You mean the multiple stores where they all had beer on tap?
Yeah, that's true. Where like people it's like a restaurant though. You just go and you get a table and you play Commander and you just order food and like drinks and just
And then in Portland they drank everywhere. It was kind of rare to find a place that didn't serve beers. Very strange.
True. Card shop staple out there.
Commander is such a a beer league style of game for Yu-Gi-Oh. It's kind of like you said. I think our closest match to Commander is domain format. So I guess that makes the most amount of sense to me. You can use modern cards in that format.
Because anything else, like you have to just focus on like what we were talking about that one week. You got to like practice restraint. You know what I mean? Like you got to be willing to kind of hold back and not combo off and go crazy and go nuts and like kind of temper your deck building to the room or to the table.
Like, and even when you think you've done it right, it still might not be enough. Because Alex and I were playing a matchup of Plunder Patrol versus Ice Barrier. So
Yeah.
on the surface, that it sounds like, oh, that sounds like a good casual matchup. I'm not gonna say who, but one of us left very bitter. Like we didn't talk for like a couple hours after.
Yeah, modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Will do that. There's this tricky problem where it's like just because you're playing a tier 3 deck or something against another tier 3 deck doesn't mean that it can't still be like long turns, blowouts, bad
It
feelings.
doesn't mean you're both gonna have fun.
Yeah. So I think like if there is a beer league, the closest we've got is domain format, and I would honestly say just try that. Because anything else, you just get with your friends, get with your personal group of friends, and just make your own rules. Maybe make a draft cube. That's a pretty good one. You could do like a speed duel box.
Maybe you play Edison, but not
Edison's not
like
bad.
copying tournament winning deck lists from Edison. You just pick your favorite cards that were legal in Edison and play those.
Yeah, an Edison draft.
Because boy, Edison's a sweaty format. Don't get it
Edison-
twisted. That's a
Edison,
sweaty
yeah,
format.
Edison can get just as sweaty as anything else. So, anyways, okay, so now we got to get back to your thoughts on these Kanye albums.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe I'll make it easy for you.
Okay.
What are just your top 3 in order?
So in order,
This is out of my depth, by the way, so you have the stage.
okay. It's late registration, the college dropout, my dark, beautiful, twisted fantasy, or did I get the name wrong? Whatever. Those are my top 3.
Okay.
And then
What's the worst?
the worst. Okay. Now, this is where we part the most. So I'm very critical of Kanye's most recent works. And that's not to say that there aren't good songs on them, but I am very critical of them. So my Kanye tier list kind of just goes, his early stuff is the best, his newer stuff is the worst. But now I'm not just some boomer. Hear me out. I have been going back to listen to Kanye's newer albums. For me, his newer albums start at Yeezus, working my way down. And
Okay.
I've been finding more merit, and the songs sound better to me after kind of like hating on them for some time.
Okay. Well, for our other fellow Kanye listeners, you can weigh in on Alec's opinions, gold or trash.
Oh, God.
And I will be reporting back with my own opinions on my beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy in due time.
Now, as far as media recommendations for this week.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So this is our kind of new segment. We will formalize this soon and like actually have like a name for our weekly media recommendations. What is one thing that you've been like watching, listening to,
This one's
reading?
a cop-out. It's a cop-out. I'm going to be honest. Like, everyone's already going to do it anyway. Go watch the new Deadpool.
Okay.
Yeah,
have you seen it?
I have seen it.
Okay. It's good?
And as critical as I am of like MCU works lately, and how nonchalantly I've been talking about this movie, I was pleasantly surprised. I'll say that. I was pleasantly surprised. I'm not saying it's fine cinema, but I had a good time.
Okay, so mine is not like a new thing per se, but I am currently visiting some family, and so they have like a godson over who's 11 years old. And so it's my sister and her husband and their godson, and so I've been here. And we played the game Overcooked, which this is my first time playing Overcooked. It's been out for like years. It's just kind of a fun cooperative game.
I've never been in a healthy enough relationship for it.
Wow. Yeah, where basically like you just are in a kitchen and you like fulfill different roles. Like you gotta like grab the ingredients, cut the ingredients, plate the ingredients, cook them, deliver them, and even like wash the dishes and all that stuff. And so it can be really chaotic and hectic and fun. And this is my first time playing it, so I wasn't very good. But I had a good time with it. And it was kind of one of those like moments where it's like, I appreciate the simplicity of like just a group of people can sit down, play this game, have a good time. And also like that don't count out like those don't count out like what's like sound like casual games. Like some people hear like Overcooked and I feel like they're like, yeah, like that's just a girlfriend game, or that's not like for real gamers. But like it's like a mentally taxing game. So I don't know. I had fun. If you have a group of friends, maybe like put the card games down for a night and instead just play Overcooked.
Wow, put the card games down. You're gonna say that on this podcast called the Pod of Greed?
I am. I honestly am. I've never struggled more to like make a hamburger in my life. So it's cool. There's like 2v2. There's all kinds of things. Definitely try out Overcooked. That's my recommendation for the week. Next week I might have something more like new, I guess. But yeah.
And if I have to give a non-cop-out answer, I'll just say if you haven't started or have ever started the series yet, you should try out Oshi no Ko on High Dive.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great... I've been watching season
season.
2. It's been fire so far, and give it a try, man. And if you don't have High Dive, I'm not saying steal it, but, you know...
Well, anyways, that's this week's Pot of Greed. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. One last quick announcement, too. I did make a Twitter account for the Pot of Greed. I'll have it down in the description. We're not going to really post like a bunch of stuff on there. It's basically just going to be whenever a new episode goes out, or if there's like a delay. It's just one more place that we can let people know, like, hey, episode's running late, or something like that. So you can follow us there. It's like at Pot of Greed Cast or something like that. I don't know. It's in the description. I might put it on the screen as well. And the Patreon will be coming soon as well. So, yeah.
All right, but that's a wrap for the Pot of Greed.
See you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.